Welcome to Integrative Health Chats, where we discuss the current health topics everyone is talking about. We'll find our way together as we share the tools and information necessary to make better health decisions for yourself and your family. The path to a healthier and happier life is within reach for each of us. You just need to know where to start and need some friends to help support you along the way. Now, the following podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease. Please do not apply any of this information without the approval from the appropriate healthcare professional.
Hello, everyone. Justin Smith with Integrative Health, and I am joined by the Slonkosky brothers, Dr. Phil, John Paul. How we doing, guys?
What's up, Justin? What's up?
I'm happy to. So we're currently we're in an office right now. We're in the process of moving. So there's boxes everywhere. We got a lot of stuff going on, but we want to take some time and speak to you and share some of the stuff we got going on in our world. Dr. Phil, you have a lot going on in your world right now.
There's always something going on, Justin. But as we were just saying in prepping for this podcast, we could be doing anything else right now. Literally a list of number of items, and here we are deciding to share our time in the podcast universe, which I think is pretty fun.
John Paul?
I'm really looking forward to talking with you guys right now about integrative health supplements. We're going to take like a reflective moment and think about how it's how it's going for us.
Yeah, and how it's evolving. This discussion on integrative health is really resonating with people. And it's been a while since the three of us had a chance to kind of talk about it. And I think what we hope is people who decide to listen to this podcast will kind of gain some insight into sort of what we're thinking, what pulse is and the nature of integrative health, what we're hearing from people, and where we think the space is going, where it's going for us, why we're doing this. So, Justin, I think you need to start this off here because you're jazzed and ready to go.
I'm just fired up to be with you guys. Every time we get together, I get inspired. I go home all fired up. It's a good time. I feel that we have some incredible things going on from not necessarily even a product standpoint, but just like a vision, a path, a direction that we're headed. And we're learning things almost on a weekly basis. We're having to pivot when we need to. We have to make changes when we need to. And I think it would be nice for our listeners to have a better understanding about why we're even doing this in the first place. Not from a business mission standpoint, but more of us, I guess, a personal standpoint. And I've been looking to you guys for some direction as to how this all plays together in a much larger picture. Because I know the reasons why I take our supplements. I know the reason why I exercise and eat well.
Let me ask you this. Since you started being introduced to this more integrative approach and some of these things, are you feeling better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mental clarity. I feel more emotional stableness, as in just like I'm less inflammation. My anxiety's down. I have terrible ADHD, which that's been a little more manageable without having to take some pretty powerful medication for it. Adderall. I'm not a fan of Adderall, but I have some things where besides ADHD where I need it. And so some of our products have helped me being able to weave off that and not use it as much.
Yeah. See right there. I mean, like you said, why do we do this? In my journey, it began with trying to research what this new phenomenon called CBD was, in terms of understanding what led us to these different products. But again, in our own individual life, the journey health of my family and kids wanting to be better. Is there a better answer somewhere? Is there, the status quo wasn't necessarily meeting the needs we had, and then all of a sudden, once you kind of get on that other side of the fence and you start feeling better and things that you didn't think were going to work suddenly start working after you put in the time and the patience, it's quite dramatic.
And to the, like, for instance, when I started taking CBD back in January, I was like super geeked up, obviously very uneducated about it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to take it once and it's going to cure all this stuff. And I realized that wasn't the case. it took months for me to get to a place of balance and feel true effect, which a lot of people right now, and this could be a media thing, everyone's like this, CBD craze right now, and everyone's like, it's going to take care of all these issues, like almost if people were to take like almost like a Xanax for anxiety. And don't get me wrong, after using it for a while, you definitely know that it's within, I would say 20 minutes to 30 minutes, it's definitely going to ease some, maybe that anxious feeling, but it's not immediate. So it's been cool to see this almost this change of wellness on a daily basis. Like it's better.
Do you take less CBD now than what you did before?
No, I definitely take more.
Huh.
Yeah. Yep.
You're taking more as you've kind of weaned off some of your other stuff?
Correct.
Yeah. See, so, the nice part is, you're not getting the side effects, right? I mean,
the clamminess, when you're coming down from certain medicines, you get almost anxiety. I don't have extreme dry mouth. For clarity, I'm talking about taking Adderall.
Yeah.
So,
but this is the whole interesting point, right? This is why it's so fascinating right now. I mean, this space is so new that you really, and I appreciate you sharing, because I mean, the only way we learn about this is through discussion and getting personal testimonies. I mean, there's no legitimate book written on this yet. They're not teaching it in medical school. They're not teaching it in any of the schools. It's the nice part is we're basically dealing with something that is about as natural as you can get, that supports what your body's doing. And again, this podcast isn't about CBD as much as why did we get into this, but obviously that's what brought all of us together. And I think, again, what I hope people can take from this discussion is the fact that we're just as amazed as everybody is out there on this, and we're trying to find answers, and we want to probe it. We're not afraid to talk about it. Like, I mean, what's the difference between us having a conversation and jumping on a blog and reading everyone's comments and engaging in back and forth?
Yeah. John Paul, what are you thinking over there?
I was really good to hear you say that, for you to share, Justin, about the benefits, because I think oftentimes we're having people buy the products, they're engaging with our media, and we don't always get feedback. So I'm gonna put a plug into anyone, please share with us if you've had benefit. It really does help persons who are on the fence to maybe try something different in their life. And I've just been thinking about the term integrative, and how it's always, I guess I like the term because it's always that challenge to me that how can I live a more integrative life in general? So when you ask the question, your why are we doing this? It's aspirational for me. It's trying to be a little bit better. And that the guide is the integrative life, that we're connecting things, and my mental health is not separated from my physical health, is not separated from my emotional health. And things are better, after like going on this journey with you guys. So that's what I've been reflecting on and thinking that's also what I want for anyone who's joining us on this crazy journey. Yeah. So a reflective moment there, brought to you by me.
No, I love it. Question.
Yes.
So you're thinking about this, you're reflecting on it. What's the largest area of opportunity for you?
Oh, I want to dive more into the mental health side. Dr. Phil, you've been great about sharing the gut brain axis connection, and that's in tons of articles and blog posts and media. So I'm thinking a lot about that.
Yeah, I'm
like more than just I would say my biggest area of opportunity is not just thinking about something, but also like acting on it and then testing it. If I'm going to focus on mental health, then what's my plan for the next 60 days? What's my hypothesis? What's my control? Apply a little old-fashioned scientific method to this and see if I can improve it over the next 60 days. So
I love that, treating it as like a science experiment.
Yeah.
It's a cool perspective.
Then that's also what
to take on it.
That's also what I hope our, audience out there wants to do with us as well. I'm really making a plug for feedback, everyone.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear from the people that are not only just listening to this, but the people that are interacting with on social and are very loyal customers. And What are you thinking over there, Phil?
I was reflecting on what John was saying about this idea of applying the scientific method. And I was thinking how, for me, the pursuit of the knowledge base, like you just said, the gut-brain axis, there's a book I'm reading right now by this doctor who basically attributes almost all of adult mental disease to the gut being off. This doctor's worked huge in the autism space and has very specific dietary protocols and things where they're making amazing change. And, I guess what I'm passionate about, what I want to try and do is find a way to take this complex knowledge base and translate it so it's approachable to people, right? Like everything that I'm learning, I'm trying to figure out how I can translate. It's like I need the Google translator for how do I make this approachable to people who have not studied the level of science that those of us who are in, quote, medical fields have studied. That, I think, is one of the biggest challenges medicine has and will always have. But we live in a period of time now where the media is so accessible and the ability to, and the minds out there, I shouldn't say the ability, the minds that are out there to maybe help translate this in ways that we've never even thought about to make it concrete and approachable, almost like Montessori it, like how do you take a Montessori method type of, educational approach and say, how can we teach people about health that goes beyond health class, right? Because it's all the research coming out today just turns on its head current concepts. And it's a complete paradigm shift. And we're going to live through such a transformative time because people are really being helped in ways that they didn't think were possible. And because of the internet, those stories spread like wildfire, right? You can have one story on a news channel that 100 million people see, and all of a sudden everyone thinks, oh, this is the next great cure, but you forget, no, that's just one person you were talking about, the craze that can occur. People, you need perspective on it, But for me, the common thread is how do we take all this medical knowledge we're learning that can really change somebody's life, help them be able to learn the concepts so that they themselves can become their best doctor to help heal themselves, because we all agree that that's the best way to win. Become your own doctor. And by that, we mean you empower yourself to make healthy choices so you can live the life you want to live.
Yes.
Yeah. Extreme ownership of your own health. You're not outsourcing it.
And you don't have to be alone in it. This is the beauty of, I think, crowdsourcing the internet support groups is you can find somebody to journey with on this. You can't do it alone.
It's interesting to me from kind of piggybacking off what you just said. So there's the, we'll say the common folk, the everyday folk that are starting to want different types of answers. And then you have this group, the medical group, like for instance, the FDA just came out with a epilepsy medicine that has CBD in it, right? And then you have this group that's very educated. They know all this stuff that I have no idea. You Dr. Phil, you probably know way more in this, but than most people. But then you have this group over here that don't even know what CBD is, where it comes from. So think about the separation of gap of opportunity there, if anything.
Well, even with probiotics, right? A lot of people, when I did a talk recently where I said, I surveyed and said, hey, how many of you guys have heard of probiotics? And I was surprised how many people had. And when I asked how many people heard of the word inflammation, a lot of people had. But once you got into the, just the basics a little bit, just the idea of bacteria and that our body is predominantly made up of bacterial cells, and that we're essentially, as one doctor puts it, a walking rainforest, that in itself is a foreign concept. But yet it's the truth. It's the scientific truth. And that paradigm is how you need to look at the human body, so that treatment modalities that eradicate the good bacteria need to be avoided, because it's the good bacteria that helps so many physiologic processes. And yet a lot of treatment modalities, pharmacologic modalities, completely eradicate the good bacteria. So now what? Right? So, I mean, it's like, let's frame the discussion now of saying, okay, here's a certain disease process where, great, you might be able to find like a cure, quote, but you just eradicated all the good bacteria that was responsible for producing vitamin B, helping train the immune system, producing serotonin and some of these other neurotransmitters that are no longer there anymore. And all of a sudden, their health as a whole starts heading towards a different direction. So I think when you talk about what's true informed consent for somebody, well, it's the side effects, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's what's really, like, what's not really happening is people don't understand the level of side effects for different treatment modalities, because alternative treatments or treatments that are promoted by integrative health and so forth, usually they have the fewest side effects. I mean, every time I see one of these commercials now that promote a drug, they're doing a better job of being louder about the side effects. But by the time you listen to the list, you think,
never.
Yeah, how can you think about that? I'm going to sell you this drug that's going to change your life. And everyone on there's smiling, but the side effects are horrible. Can you imagine, what other thing do we see sold where you literally have, here's how it's going to make your life so great, and look at how it changed these people's life, but it could kill you.
I crack up when it's like a migraine medicine and it's like they go through the side effects could cause headaches. I'm like, wait, what? Doesn't even make any sense to me. John Paul, what do you besides what you're like looking forward to the most, as in from a personal standpoint, from a business opportunity standpoint, right? What are you most excited about what we're doing?
I think I want to talk about the diagnostics that we've been talking about offline, and how that's going to really help with the personalized medicine approach. So I get really amped about that, because, when you aspire to an integrative life, you want to have the data to make a good decision. Like, go back to what I said, the 60-day like scientific method plan. So we've been talking about these diagnostic tests that we want to bring online. The Viome to understand the gut bacteria, and then also the nutritional genome to understand your genetic makeup and how that's interacting with your health decisions. So those two things get me really excited about that information that I could have for myself, but also anyone could have.
So clarity. So these diagnostic tests are going to essentially tell you what's wrong with certain parts of your body.
Yeah. So again, going back to our why, there was a day where I sat there and said, why is it that I'm taking this multivitamin? Okay. Like, do I really need to take the multivitamin? Do all the different levels in there, when you really look at it, this one might have 20% of what you need daily value, 5%, 2%. Over the last few years, our diet in my family has gotten very good in terms of, looking at more of what you would say is like trying to eliminate toxins, trying to make sure that most of the foods we know where they're coming from. And that's had significant health improvements across the board. But when you look at vitamins and why you're taking vitamins, I was sitting there thinking, okay, so I'm eating healthy. I eat plenty of fruits and vegetables. And so do I really need a multivitamin? Because, they're not cheap, and you start looking at all these different supplements. So I started with that question, and my wife, who's, a practicing physician on a little bit more of an integrative bend, has been doing all these different analyses on gut microbes and all this stuff with her patients. And she would hone in on what specific vitamin they needed. And I thought that was really neat to see how she would improve their health, and in her patients' cases, fertility, by being able to help them nutritionally, because she was identifying specific genetic markers that, for example, would identify that the body couldn't metabolize something right. And so I started researching it and was like, let's figure it out. And then we came across, like you said, John, a nutrition genome. And so I sent off my DNA. I was like, here's my experiment. I'm going to do a genetic workup, and I'm going to see what it says. And it was awesome. It gave me a lab report of like 8 or 9 different labs that I should do to confirm whether or not the specific gene mutations I had. What they look for are what are called SNPs, SNPs. They stand for single nucleotide polymorphisms. And all that means is that in your chain of DNA, you've got one part attaching to the other. It just flips. So it's very minor. It's not super complicated. We all have them, but we can have variations of them. And depending on whether or not you have two or one can determine how significant effect it is. And it's still a spectrum. And as we get more specific on the analyses, they're refining whether or not certain SNPs are related to different conditions. It's always going to be evolving, but it's gotten pretty good now. So they'll give you in this printout, I got like a 50-page printout broken down into different categories that said, hey, you need this vitamin, you need this vitamin. Don't take this form of the vitamin because this will make you go nuts. You need to take this form of the vitamin and then run these lab tests to make sure that you're not deficient in X, Y, and Z. And it totally changed my life. I did exactly what they said. It confirmed some things and didn't with others. I started taking the supplements based on what that, in consultation with my physician, and my wife, my real physician.
Convenient.
And precisely. I want to be fully transparent here. And so, I've got an ace in the hole. The regimen I take now is absolutely improved my health tremendously. So I'm a firm believer in it. And then when our father had cancer, I had his nutritional genome run because I was always curious why he was responding a certain way to treatments. And I knew there had to be a reason to it. And again, trying to be thorough with everything. And when I got the genetic report back, it absolutely made sense as to why certain things were happening a certain way.
Wow.
So I'm with you, John. I think the diagnostic part is absolutely going to transform everything.
Yeah. What do you think, Justin?
I'm excited just for more conversation with people. Nice. Like some of my favorite things is when we're connecting with people for like podcast guests, and these people that all walks of life, and they just vomit their story, not in a bad way by any means, but they just like, they're at a point sometimes where these very like well-to-do professionals have their hands up. They're like, I just don't know what to do. Yeah. Or they were like that several months ago and they've got on a very good health regimen and it's literally changed their life, saved marriages, allowed them to have, babies. Like it's crazy. And so that's what I love hearing those stories. And it just, I don't know, it's empowering to me. Mm-hmm. It's fun conversating with people from all different walks of life, different professions, different experiences. When
you say the word empowering, I know we talked about that word when we were formulating the team and our vision for IHSUPS. And I go back to the example of a person who had contacted us for his wife. And the number one issue after talking to them, I realized was that they just felt like they couldn't act. They couldn't move. They couldn't get a plan together. And they didn't feel like they had any power to affect. And they weren't looking for a silver bullet or, like to fix it in 5 minutes. They just said, we're stuck. We got to keep moving. And so that's also, I'm going to connect that why I get excited about any type of data we get from the nutritional genome or Viome, because that is going to cause a lot more people to move forward.
Yeah, decision
come up with
paralysis.
A plan. Yes, like start acting on things.
Right.
So that gets me amped is when I realize we're not going to offer cures at all. FDA, you can hear me say that. We're not offering cures, but we're going to help people like move forward, get a plan together, work it for 60 days.
Well, even the people who work at the FDA are people too.
Yeah.
And they want to live a healthy life.
They do.
And a lot of them are probably scratching their heads trying to figure out how to navigate forward, just like a lot of people we're interacting with.
Absolutely.
There's nothing, when you stop and think about it, in the end, everybody wants to feel good. And there's no substitute to feeling good except if you're healthy. And it should not, health should not be something that is only for some. Mm-hmm. It should be for all.
And to add on to that is even those persons with chronic conditions, just to make it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. You're not going to cure some of these chronic conditions, but to make it a little bit better so that tomorrow you have less pain or you have more energy. That also is, I just assign that to the integrative life. You're like connecting all yourself, and so for those who are struggling right now with chronic conditions, whether it's pain or mental health issues, like that's something that we can also aspire to with them, to help them.
Yeah, and people, like, a lot of people feel alone on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I know I'm speaking for myself here, but I know you guys are with me. Like, there's no reason for anybody to feel alone. Like, there are people out there that may not be experiencing the exact same thing, but something very similar, or know somebody that's going through some stuff.
Yeah, if you all listening could see Justin right now, he just wants to give you a hug. He just wants to say, you're not alone.
I'm here for you.
I'm here for you. So yeah, I think that's the why. I think you summed it up really well right there, Justin.
Yeah. I think the direction we're heading, what we're doing, what we're cultivating. Obviously I believe in our products just as you guys do, but it's way more than that. It goes way beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. And, it's also, we're also asking you all who are listening to like hold us accountable to that standard. Like, it's not just about products. It's not just about us. It really is about like journeying together. That may sound cliche right now, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
Now I want to hug them too, Justin.
I'll check my calendar, see if I can fit it in. I'm just kidding, John Paul. You can have a hug anytime you want.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I just, again, you guys, I know you both are super busy, and I just thought it was really important for our listeners to have a little bit of better understanding about us as individuals, show a little, of our different side of personalities. I love our uniqueness as individuals on this team. Jesse, we miss you. So, but yeah, I mean, you guys, any closing remarks?
I'm just going to ask for some more feedback. So you all who listen to this, let us know what you think. Give us your questions, give us your comments, and give us your why. We want to know that as well.
Yeah, if you're listening, can I feed off that? Okay, if you're listening right now, do us a favor. Go on, wherever you found this, whether it's on our Facebook, on Instagram, or anything like that. Share with us what it is, your why. Like, why, what wakes you up in the morning, every single morning, what makes you hop out of bed? And then to that point, on the flip side of that, if you don't know that is a great starting point to at least give yourself some direction.
Nice.
Dr. Phil?
I have nothing more to add, Justin. What? As John said, as you guys both said, it's that why. Everyone has to start with the why, Yeah. Isn't Simon Sinek who wrote the book?
Sinek.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Shout out to Simon Sinek if you're listening.
The why. Start with that, because that integrated life, I think, John, as you put that, is central and paramount to what we are trying to build. But what it requires is engagement and interaction, and that feedback and that engagement is what we're asking and what we're looking for, so we can try to help in any way that we can.
Nice.
Beautiful.
So we'll look forward to, let's talk again in this reflective way. See where we're at in the next 60 days.
All right. You heard it. In the next 60 days, we're going to round table it again.
Set a reminder, Siri.
All right. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. As always, John Paul, Dr. Phil, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Justin.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Integrative Health Chats. If you took just one pearl away, one nugget that's helping you to look at health differently and that will change your life, please share this podcast with your friends. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, please leave us a comment or question. Your health is so important to us. And while we don't have all the answers, we do know that together we can achieve so much more. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at IHChats, or you can send us an email at ihchats@ihsupps.com. That's ihchats@ihsups.com. It's been our pleasure to spend this time with you, and until next time, please take one step each day to live a healthier and happier life. Have a great day.